Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. You are listening to Watching Worst Films, the podcast in which we watch all of the Razzie Worst Picture winners. My name is Jericho.
And my name is Kyle.
And we have just taken a little trip down to a place called Kokomo with the 1988 winner, Cocktail. So, well, do we really need to say this? Both of our history with this film is the same, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Loving the Beach Boys song.
And try not to call the film Kokomo as well. It's
I can't do
it. Why do we get into Kokomo? But yeah, it doesn't go any further than I know we both love the song Kokomo, and it's from the movie Cocktail, which is an 80s film that I've never watched in my life.
Yeah, I know that Kokomo's in it. I know that Tom Cruise is in it. I know that it has a reputation of being the Cocktail movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably parodied, or it's not The Simpsons or Always Sunny. Is there I feel like there's something where some bartender's lambasted for trying to do a cocktail, and you see just standing on broken glass.
Well, that's even before we get into this film, that's what I was thinking with The Simpsons. It was Flamin' Moe's, or there was definitely a Sunny. I'm sure I've seen this parodied sometime.
It's a big pop cultural thing. It's a references Cocktail.
Absolutely.
Because watching the film, I could see this being the key text for a bunch of guys. Now, obviously, men base their personalities off Ryan Gosling movies, so they're autistic and they don't say anything. Maybe they have a toothpick. But I feel in the 80s, every guy wanted to be Tom Cruise, so I can completely see guys basing their personality off this film.
Absolutely. And I've been a bartender for nearly a decade, and if I wasn't a bartender and knew the reality of hospitality, this would probably make me want to pick up a cocktail shaker. It looks like a fine life. It's an inspiration, isn't it?
Yeah. So this was a film that we watched legally.
Yes.
Through Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, available on one of their many mass archives now of films.
Yeah.
So we actually got it in probably one of the better qualities we've watched some of these films.
Stunning 4K resolution. You can see the beads just running down the cocktail glasses.
I've never seen Tom Cruise's yellow tooth in such clarity in my life.
So it seems like a kind of hiding to nothing to try and summarize this in terms of plot.
There's plot. There's really.
Yeah, we're not always great at the plot summary aspect of this, but
what's your synopsis? Put it on the back of the DVD.
Okay. A man is seeking to further his station in life and stumbles upon bartending. Man finds his purpose kind of as a bartender.
Yeah.
And maybe gets the life and love of a New York cocktail bartender.
Yeah, it is very thin though. But that's not what you're watching it for. I don't think anyone was. And this is based off a book, so maybe the memoir book or whatever it is.
Oh, is it I was imagining it was a novel.
I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it was. It's the same writer that did the screenplay as well.
Yeah, adapted from his own text.
So it's his words, I assume. But it felt like a memoir, rather than
that does
a glorified memoir,
an autobiographical. Yes. Some schlubby guy was oh yeah, I was Tom Cruise back in my day. Yes.
I'm sure if you flash up a picture somehow for the podcast, you would see the reality of the writer, and he ain't Tom Cruise. But
imagine if you're that guy's kid and you're oh, this is my dad. Yeah. So to start things off, Tom Cruise is he's not a city slicker. He's the opposite of a city slicker.
Yeah.
Although he said he's from Queens, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He drops it in.
But we see him getting on a Greyhound.
He gets dropped off by his army buddies.
Yeah, his army buddies chase after a Greyhound to get Tom on it, and I guess maybe the Greyhound does go from Queens to Manhattan, maybe the last stop, but it seems like a very
again, we'll talk about this, but time's a very strange concept in this film.
Yeah.
So you could have been on the Greyhound for an hour, a week, a day,
5 minutes.
I have no idea. Don't know why you have to get on that way as well, with them flagging it down with a police car.
We've all missed the megabus, guy.
But we never missed the megabus while being serenaded by the beautiful Down and Out tunes from Starship, which was the first few notes of the film. I'm a starship aficionado. And this is like the dying embers of the starship. I knew it was in for a good time, basically, right away at the start.
That's almost my first note is we had a bad time with Hunter last week, but we had a very good time with Cocktail. As like, because that's the way I first saw New York, was via a Greyhound. Granted, it was from Boston, but like I was watching Tom Cruise in the window seat, looking out at all the buildings above them, wide-eyed, and I was like, "Yep, that was me."
Did you? You didn't have a small child and pointed out the Twin Towers, did you?
No, I didn't say. Unfortunately, I didn't have that experience. Nor did I see a dog shit on the pavement. And like, that's maybe my favorite bit of acting from Tom Cruise in this film is the kind of like the expression, like his reaction to the dog shitting on the pavement is kind of like, so, oh, that's how they do things around here. It's just such a weird. I don't know how I would react to that if you put me in that position, but I love that they were like cut to reaction shot of Tom, slight raised eyebrow, like, So he gets into New York where he's come to make his fortune, like a modern day Dick Whittington.
Yeah.
And then he immediately goes to Paddy's Pub.
It is Paddy's Pub, though, isn't it? It's Pat's, I think. And
it is, yeah.
It is, absolutely. If that's not the inspiration, then Charlie Day, I'm going to get on the buzzer to him because I'm sure that's Paddy's Pub.
Because he's playing Brian Flanagan, and someone calls him an immigrant. Like, he slips into an Irish brogue in a couple lines.
Slips in. That's very generous.
It's not far and away where he's actually playing Irish, but he's Irish in the way that Joe Biden is Irish.
Yes.
Which is entirely. So he goes to Paddy's Pub with his uncle.
His uncle owns the bar.
His uncle is the titular Paddy of Paddy's Pub. And he's bartending there for a little bit, just, pouring pints of Guinness. How hard can it be?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, so long, uncle. I have outgrown this. I'm off to Wall Street. And I quite like this montage. Like, as a fuck up who doesn't know what he's doing with his life, I could relate to Tom Cruise just like getting interviews at Wall Street. He does well because he gets interviews at like Madison Avenue.
Well, that's what I mean.
Don Draper's like, come on in, let's have a chat.
I don't know why, because every single interview says the same. You haven't gone to college, you don't have the degree.
Yeah,
but
your CV's a joke.
Why do you take him that far to the interview then? Like, I don't understand it. And I quite like the montage of it jumping.
It's good. Yeah.
I wish Tom Cruise's backdrop changed occasionally because it's all just one shot, one take for him. But it was nice.
So he gets rejected from Wall Street, from Madison Avenue. I don't know if there's a third place, but basically he gets rejected from every industry and field he tries to enter, because that's his ambition. Is he doesn't really know what he wants to do in life. He just knows he wants to be rich, and he's got these sort of self-help books, which tie things back into Tom Cruise was the Ryan Gosling of the 80s. He 100% would be a Peterson bro if this movie was made now. He'd be like, can I talk to you about Dr. Peterson's 12 Rules for Living? Every day I get up and I tidy my room. Like, I live authentically. Women are the dragon of chaos and men are the shining knight of order. But in the 80s, he just kind of has like success, win, how to build your empire.
Yeah, and like in a little bit, maybe it's just me making up in my head, but like being a former military man who's done his service, I can kind of get that's all he thinks. You know, he's coming back. I just want money and success. I've seen Wall Street. I've seen Douglas make money. I want to go make money now as well. So I kind of get that.
Well, that's the thing. Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but he's at the bar and he says something like, "Oh, like I'm too old for college." And I asked you, I was like, "How old do you reckon he's meant to be?" Mm-hmm. Because this film has a weird attitude towards time.
Very strange.
He's old enough to work in a bar. He's had a military career. But I was like, he's no more than mid-20s. He's probably 24 being like, oh, my life's over. Yes. I need to hit a big hour.
Which is like, I feel would probably be like, maybe the book, I don't know. Like
maybe.
Yeah. There seems to be like a down on your luck element.
Yeah, for sure.
It's probably just been glossed over and ignored because it's Tom Cruise and Tom Cruise playing Tom Cruise. But I think, I think with a very different actor in this character would be really different.
Well, this is where I have a surprise for you, because the potential castings for this role are insane.
All
like,
right.
it's so varied. Like, normally you can look at people who were considered for a role and they're all kind of variations on the same thing. Like he's in my mind because of Sandman, but you know how it's like, oh, Andrew Garfield, Robert Pattinson, Tom Sandman. We want like a white guy with like good hair, like that kind of type. This is just absolutely.
Well, I would have thought like, and this is just assumptions. I'm pulling this out my ass.
Okay, so first name Robin Williams.
Holy fuck. How old is Robin at this time? Like, what's he doing in '88?
Robin Williams probably isn't. He's probably like 10 years older than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I can see that. I actually can see that.
But like, Robin Williams isn't like Tom Cruise is kind of like too like chaste to be a sex symbol exactly, but Robin Williams isn't like a hunk.
No,
Robin Williams would be like, oh, there's this amazing bartender who does loads of voices and impressions.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not like.
Well, like, okay, well, that's why I was gonna say. I'm again pulling this out my ass, and we're getting ahead of ourselves. But Doug, the master, his apprentice, whatever, his teacher that teaches him the bar. I thought that actor would probably been like an initial casting choice for the Tom Cruise role. Because early 40s, down in your luck, like, I don't know, I can see this film being really different if it didn't have Tom Cruise in it. I don't think they'd be going down to Kokomo as much, you know. I feel like there's a very, very different screenplay or intention that gets steered away by Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like how people got really angry at Jack Reacher because Jack Reacher is meant to be like 8 foot tall.
Yeah,
but Tom was just like, hey, I like this movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, sure, you're not gonna say if Tom Cruise is interested in your movie,
you've got
then you change it to fit Tom
exactly,
Cruise.
because then it gets made and then you get a massive box office success like Cocktail. Like, I can understand that.
So 2 other names for you. Jim Carrey.
Okay, what?
Alrighty then. What can I get you to
And
drink?
this is '88 Jim Carrey as well. Like, so
he's
pre-fame,
pre-breakout. Yeah.
Okay.
Jim Carrey, like, I don't know. Jim Carrey could definitely do a reined in version
100%
of that. But like, I could also see like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams. If you're doing the like charismatic, goofy, funny guy, I could see them being like, they're always given as like a pair. The next name, Charlie Sheen.
Okay, well, I mean,
so I can see Charlie Sheen and Tom Cruise doing the same thing, and Robin Williams and Jim Carrey doing the same thing.
Yeah,
but all 4 names together.
I can see Charlie Sheen doing this. I mean, that's it's the Wall Street thing, and that's
exactly
in the years as well. You know, 100%. I can see '88 Charlie. I can actually see the film play out in my head exactly the way Charlie Sheen would do it.
Okay, it gets worse. Here we go. Keanu Reeves.
'88 Keanu Reeves as well.
Whoa. You're gonna teach me how to make a Bloody Mary? Yeah,
I can see it though.
Keanu and Tom, peas in a pod. John Travolta.
Yeah, okay, I mean, the parallels there for
Rob Lowe. Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. Yeah, okay. I think Hanks is the one I can see least of.
It gets worse.
Okay.
Steve Guttenberg.
Okay.
Bill Murray.
Okay, all right.
Like 88 Bill Murray.
And I know what Bill Murray's doing in '88. He's doing Scrooged.
Oh, yeah.
Because he turns down Caddyshack 2 for Scrooged.
Bill Murray would be like, he'd be more of a Doug part.
Well, I think, I can see Bill Murray doing it if the intention is different. I think Tom Cruise changes the energy of this film. Okay. A lot of those ones, I think you're going for the wacky thought of it, but I can see like Charlie Sheen playing it straight, but I can definitely see Bill Murray being like 40 years old. I'm out of the military. I've done 10 years of service or something, and I'm just a bartender at Paddy's and stuff, you know, like I can see
Bill Murray as a bartender for sure, but like I can't see him as like I can't see Bill Murray as like this sort of rom-com lead at that
Is
point
this a
in his
rom-com
career.
though?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, like,
is it?
Maybe not so much the com, but
what
like
genre is
the
this
whole
film?
thing is like the romantic like intrigue and like to the extent that it works at all. Brian has to be like young and naive.
Yeah,
and
so
Bill
like,
Murray
I just think
does not do either of those things.
Well, when I reboot Cocktail, I'm going to play it much more faithful to the...
You're going to get 70-year-old Bill Murray. For relaxing times, come to Cocktails and Drinks.
Come to Kokomo.
My final name for you, Jeff Bridges.
Okay.
Which, Jeff Bridges, I'm probably getting his age wrong. Jeff Bridges is in his peak. He could have done this for sure, but he's, at this point in time, he's closer to Bill Murray than he is, like...
I don't know, 88? Really?
Think of Tron.
Tron's what, 8? It's 10 years before Lebowski. So how old is he in Lebowski?
Oh, yeah.
A decade
He
younger
might-
than Lebowski. I think he could pull it off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking of like Last Picture Show
Okay.
bridges. That's kind of what you want.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be if you're wanting him to do the Tom Cruise way.
Yeah,
But I don't.
and you do.
I
do.
Okay. We're going to have very different reboots.
I don't want
then,
a
aren't we?
grumpy old man.
I don't think it'll be a grumpy old man.
I don't want Rooster Cogburn turning bar. Hey, like, you're walking around.
I think, he comes to life through cocktail making. I think it's not too old, but I can.
This is an accusation you often level at me. Is you're just changing the movie here?
Yeah.
Like he's not.
I'm changing the movie.
He's not going to be getting off with like all these like women in their early 20s.
But that's
going to
only
seem like a creep.
But that's only Elizabeth Shue. I mean, Tom Cruise gets with an older lady.
No, the photographer as well.
I could scale her up. For 10
Scale
years.
her up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, photographers can be any. If bartenders can be any age, yeah.
It's going to be like
Everyone
Anna
else-
Wintour.
It's
or
just
like
there's a lot of older people around in the film. In the clubs, the beat poets, everything around the film has older cast. I just
okay.
I just think Tom Cruise.
How old are you scaling up the mentor to like? What's he gonna
Nothing.
be?
No,
like,
no.
Warren Beatty.
No, I don't think the mentoring thing needs to be is homoerotic and the way it's portrayed here. I think it can be.
You are ruining this.
I think he can keep him the same age.
But anyway, okay, we should
Right,
be.
sorry,
we should
back
be
on
moving
track.
It makes more sense that he considers himself too old for college if he's Bill Murray.
Okay.
But he so after all these rejections, they're like, no, you need a degree. He's like, yeah, gotta find a degree, and he sees a help wanted sign at a bar, and so he goes in, and the guy we've spoken so much about, actually introducing Doug, the mentor, who we called him Obi-Wan because Tom calls him Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he does.
Doug Coughlin, who's an Australian bartender who knows all about. He's the guru
Early
of
40s.
cocktails.
He's done this for a long time. It's the one good thing he's
Yeah.
good at in his life. So he becomes like the mentor to young Tom Cruise.
So what did you think about Doug? Because I really like.
I
I
really
don't think I've seen him in anything else.
I've seen him in something, and you're gonna have to look it up for me really quickly while I ramble about him. But I really enjoyed his character and performance, and like it's definitely compared to like I think there's again what I was saying with the homoeroticism. He definitely has really strong chemistry with Tom Cruise. I mean maybe a lot later on, and we'll get to that, but.
So yeah, he doesn't have any notable credits. There's things here and there like Gods of Egypt and Peter Rabbit and Give My Regards to Broad Street.
Yeah.
So that's where you think
That's where I think I've seen him from, McCartney's masterpiece, but I haven't seen that in a long time. But I recognise the actor.
he has one of those faces where
Yeah.
you're like, I'm sure I've seen him in like a bit part,
Yeah.
but I don't know him. And I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I love Brian. I loved Doug Coughlin.
Did you love Doug as much as Brian did though? That's the real question.
Possibly.
Yeah, he's excellent though.
Yeah, he's really good. So to go on to the alternate casting, I'll give you some other names that were considered for him.
Oh, he's got alternative. Okay.
Jack Nicholson,
Okay.
which for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, was Jack Nicholson want to do that role?
Well, what's it? This is what a year before Batman.
Yeah.
I mean,
You ever danced with the devil? You ever made a martini in an egg cup?
I could. Okay, no, I'm actually struggling to see that. I get it, but I can't see it in my head. And
I can't see any world in which Jack Nicholson signs on to do it, but I can see him playing that character
Okay, that's
easily.
fair. What's the next one?
Dustin Hoffman.
Okay, I was thinking we were gonna go through this range of ages as well. No, I mean.
No, I can see it, but I don't think because Dustin Hoffman's a good enough actor. I can see him doing that sort of like grizzled mentor.
Yeah. What's Dustin doing in 88?
Rain Man.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh fuck! Fuck yeah! Oh shit! All right, no, okay. I mean, chemistry. I mean, they could have been together in 2 blockbusters. Yeah.
Together, you're saying.
Together.
Yeah.
Siblings and lovers.
Michael Caine.
Okay, I was.
Michael Caine would have been amazing because I'm just imagining Batman Begins.
I can see that, but you know what? I consider my alternative casting for Cruise and stuff. I'm liking the original actor, and I can't get him out of my head.
What if Johnny wrote you a letter saying that she didn't want to be with you, Mr. Flanagan? What would you do then? Go back? You're too old to be making cocktails. I look at Bane and I see a young, upcoming bartender.
Any final ones?
It's Dudley Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting you just to rattle through all these similar actors' ages, but yeah, no, and they're also too old for me.
Yeah.
Considering whatever the original actor is called or his age, but no, yeah, once again though, fine performance. I don't want him recast. He can keep his role in my reboot.
I agree. The only other one I have for you is Paul Newman, because they apparently wanted to do a Color Money thing again. I think it's just like, who has Tom Cruise acted with before?
That's it.
And that's the thing, is like all of these actors, you take any like amazing actor who's kind of like the right age, and they could do this part, because it's not like it's a hard part.
No.
Like all of these actors are incredibly charismatic in their own way. Mm-hmm. It's a different part, and the guy Brian is so good as Doug that none of those are an improvement.
No, that's what I mean. And like I can imagine them in it, but I don't want to almost. Like no, he was my favorite part of the film. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd agree. And this is where we kind of, as soon as he was introduced, we tried to predict what was going to happen to him. So this is where you went Flaming Moe's.
Flaming Moe's. I could see it. Tom Cruise is going to upstage him. He's going to teach him everything he knows.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise is going to invent a cocktail and go off and make his own cocktail.
Call it Flaming Tom.
Flaming Tom. No innuendos, no nothing. No.
You know me, Marge. I like my beer loud, my TV cold, and my Tom's flaming.
And then, there's going to be some sabotage from Doug, and he's going to try and get himself back at Tom Cruise, and then make up. They'll go to Kokomo or something will happen, and competition kind of thing. I could a cocktail competition or something where the two of them get pitted together, and as I was seeing Flaming Moe's in my head with in Jamaica basically.
Yeah, whereas me being a student of Joseph Campbell and the Obi-Wan reference being like presented to us, I was like, okay, he's the mentor figure, so he will have to die in order for Tom Cruise to complete his journey and to become fully actualized. And spoilers, we're both kind of right.
Both kind of right, yeah.
He fucks him over and then he dies.
He goes all the way out to Kokomo to see him, though. Like, that's true love. I don't think they...
So he has his opening night, which again, I think one of the reasons I enjoyed this film so much is probably the Tom Cruise film where I can relate the most to, in terms of he's a fuck up. And then like when you had that first trial shift, I was like, oh god, that's been me. Just like people yelling at you, getting hit in the head by the till, like looking up instructions for how to make like a vodka and Coke. But he has that chaotic shift. He calls one of the waitresses a bitch, which is sort of foreshadowing of he's not a Peterson guy.
It's alright though, because she is a bitch.
She says. And then he gets tips from his first night, and then we cut to he's in college.
Yes.
So that just blew my mind. I was like, has he paid his tuition with one night's tips?
Yeah. Do you get an army discount, or I don't know. That's not important though. That's not important.
No, it's
this
not. This
little subplot of him being in college and learning is really just padding.
Yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere. He has to write his own obituary, which I kind of found a little bit fun. Where he's like Brian Flanagan died at the age of 99, like the wealthiest, like he was like a governor, billionaire.
Yeah, that's it.
He was Donald Trump. And he is like survived by his 18-year-old seventh wife, which, as I said to you, raises the question: if she's 18 years old, when did they meet?
Yeah,
was this a whirlwind romance? We met on her 18th birthday, and then we got married.
He's got 364 days to do it, Yeah. So, but whatever. I mean, there's some things there you can't. And I guess that's some of the outdated aspects as well of Cocktail. Not just that, obviously, but like sort of the gaze as well it's a bit different. But yeah, anyways, writes his obituary. He has his nice little banter, you could say, or witty remarks with the college professor who puts him down for his idea. That's soon, isn't it? I'm not jumping ahead.
Yeah. There's like 2 scenes of him in
Yeah.
class. One of them is like an English class where he's learning about Philip Roth or something.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
then the next one is a marketing class
Yes,
where
that's
he's the professor's ripping all their dreams to shreds, and there's some woman behind him like who is probably the age he's meant to be, of like,
That's
been a
why
wife for 20
everyone
years
else in that class was much older.
Yeah,
That's why
exactly.
I thought this is
Like,
why I
there's a
think
mature Kathy Bates student behind you.
That's
Why are
why-
you still like?
And the other guys at the front, the mullet guy and stuff, they all looked old. That's why I'm sure this was for an older.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Like Tom Cruise's
Okay,
youth in
you want to
Dr.
have
Phil.
Ted Danson. Ted Danson now.
Yeah, not Ted Danson in AA.
Anyway, so you mentioning the sort of like this being a product of its time. This was round about the time where I came up with my idea for Cocktail Flanagan, which is a Top Gun Maverick style legacy sequel to this film. Because to me, this isn't a world away from Top Gun.
No.
And watching the scenes of Brian and Doug behind bar in their element, I was like, I can see this. Like, I could see Tom Cruise and Miles Teller doing this.
Yes, 100%.
So throughout half the film, we were just kind of speculating on like, okay, how do you make the sequel for this? And you mentioning it being more progressive and less Bale Gazy, I guess you can go with that angle. I'm not. I'm 100% playing it straight. I'm following the Top Gun formula to a T.
Okay, I mean it works if it the Top Gun formula. It's been a rousing success. So,
and maybe we'll get into that more, because just to jump ahead, our usual question of how do you fix this?
mm-hmm.
I don't think this hugely needs to be fixed.
I couldn't make this better.
Yeah, it's not great.
I
But
can make it worse.
Yeah.
There's a few. Yeah, there's not great. I mean, I know we haven't even got to her, but Elizabeth Shue in the romance lead, I think, is pretty stumbly.
Yeah.
And like you pointed out while we were watching it, all momentum drops and the pacing drops once they get to Kokomo.
Well, that's my final note. I stopped taking my last note is Kokomo transition and then nothing.
Yeah.
Because Tom Cruise gets with this photographer, and she's like, she has like a big, like, what is it? She lives in like a brownstone.
Yeah.
And she's not like super wealthy. She's not Ivanka Trump, but she is reasonably well off in comparison to Tom Cruise. He's like, oh, like this is great. She's my girlfriend. I love her. And then old Mr. Coughlin is like, yeah, nah, man, like.
But
He does.
He says like, she's gonna. He makes a bet. It's all about bets, and he's like, she's
Yeah.
gonna sleep with someone else by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it's him that sleeps because Tom Cruise spoke about their sex life.
Yeah, he like they're playing basketball, and then they cut to like, he's like, yeah, women are bitches, Tom. Never get in too deep. You need a man that's reliable, a man that's trustworthy. You know where you are with a man. And then they cut to like their bartending at this like cell block tango.
Yeah, which is a
place.
fucking weird
We've
scene.
We've missed out the Eminem, like the rap battle scene.
Yeah, the beat
The
poetry.
Yeah.
The yuppie poetry, and it's so weird. I mean, this is where I was starting to really enjoy the film, to be honest, because it's such a strange world, and like the way clubs and bars are portrayed as well, they are just jam full of people. Like everybody needs an order. You only ever have 2 bartenders for some reason.
Of course.
Of course, they have to make the same drink at the same time together.
We've seen how like it's like a fine equilibrium with 2 bartenders. It's like to go back to the Star Wars thing. It's like always 2 there are. Like you can't have any more. They kill each other.
They
Like,
would, yeah.
this
just
bar
fall
ain't big
apart.
enough for 3 egos. With its 2 sort of rotting heads, there's that sort of homoeroticism.
Yeah.
But as soon as you had 3, then no, someone's getting killed. So then they have their little basketball game, and then the photographer is there, and she makes out with Doug, and then goes around to Tom and breaks up with him because she's like, "Oh, you kiss and told," and I was like, and that was confusing because like he didn't really know, like he
I mean, he mentioned her, I think, but he wasn't going into graphic detail.
He was saying like, "Oh, like she's amazing, like she's."
And even to be fair, in their sex scene in the film, they just kind of wrestled and
they wrestled under some blankets and fell off the bed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he told her. Like, man, you ever heard that nursery rhyme? Like 10 monkeys jumping on the bed. Well, I did a lot of jumping on the bed last night with a photographer. So that kind of doesn't really make sense.
No.
I guess like that's meant to be like, oh, he's immature and he grows up by the end and becomes a more respectful man. But he's probably like as good as you get in that first relationship.
Yeah, and that's the first like stumbling point, I guess, in terms of plot and development throughout the film. But I was very confused in it. But it gives an excuse for Tom Cruise to go away to Jamaica.
Well, yeah, him and Doug.
Matters, yeah.
Him and Doug have a big fight. Doug smashes a bottle and threatens Tom with it.
Yeah.
We have that. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
And the first of punching square in the nose as well, which is quite a recurring theme in this film.
So they have that fight, and then Tom kind of walks off, and then this is when we get one of cinema's finest transitions, as he's walking down the New York street, and then Kokomo starts to play, and he goes to Kokomo.
He does go to Kokomo, and then I time checked it because it was 38 minutes, and I was so surprised at the refrain it had from the restraint from not having Kokomo throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
This is the only time we get it is in the beautiful transition. And
we directed Kokomo, would just constantly be playing like
the rise and falls of Kokomo. I was worried that it peaked at that point as well.
I was a little worried.
38 minutes in, and Kokomo's done, and Starship are done, and my boy Doug's out the film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what am I looking forward to now? But so he goes and becomes a bartender again.
Yeah, he's a bartender in Jamaica. Things are going great. He meets Elizabeth Shue and gets off with her. They have a wonderful 10 to 24 hours.
Well, we also have to point out that since the fight between Tom Cruise and Doug, it's 3 years apart.
It's been 3 years. He's been on a boat to Kokomo for 3 years. But he's here now. He started a life. And then who walks back into his bar? That old Penny, that handsome rogue, Doug himself.
And he's instantly forgiven as well. Like, time heals all wounds.
I can't stay mad at you.
No, and Tom Cruise lights up as well. I mean, I got so much enjoyment of just how excited he looks just to see his old friend again. And
well, you said the chemistry that Tom has with Doug is off the charts in comparison to what he has with like anyone
else.
That's why it is that like Anakin Obi-Wan relationship of they're kind of brothers, kind of father and son, and
but not here. They're not. No.
Here's your ex who you've still got a little bit of a.
Absolutely, and Doug's married now as well.
Doug's married,
which must have broke.
Doug's got a beard, and he outs Tom. He outs Tom to like his crowd because he was like, "Hey, this guy is like, I bet he's got like a little success manual. I bet he's got Jordan Peterson's book behind the bar." And he tries to get it, and like Tom sort of bats him away, but then he concedes and he pulls it out, and he does have a little success win book behind the bar. So they are still the same person.
Well, Elizabeth Shue's not moved by Doug. You know, she knows you're a weird 40-year-old creep that's got your arm around you and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Why is this guy why is this guy I was flirting with just suddenly like head over heels of like a 40-year-old man?
I'm gonna give her credit as well. I think Elizabeth Shue's fine in this. I think some of the dialogue in her character is dreadful and weird.
Yeah,
but
she's okay.
But she tries, and she's got
It's not her fault that Tom Cruise isn't
exactly.
Which I don't know. You were turning your nose up at me saying this is a rom-com. Is this maybe this maybe an iconic movie for the fellas? Is this a bromance?
Well, it's the Top Gun effect, isn't it? Like, yeah. Elizabeth shoehorned in, really, just to keep it. Yeah, no.
So anyway, we got things kind of out of order. He tears himself away from Doug long enough to go and cavort with Elizabeth Shue under waterfalls,
go horse riding.
Yeah,
have a little wrestle again.
Yeah. And then there's that weird, like, there's that transition. I liked it. You didn't like it, where they're having sex under the waterfall. Then it transitions to them having sex by a fire. And you were like, is this one continuous?
Still working it up, you know. He needs a little time, you know.
And then cut to the morning after. And Tom, yet again, has not learned from his mistakes. Because Doug is like, hey, I married Ivanka Trump. Like, I married, like, an heiress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a made man. You couldn't do the same because you're not a hustler, you're a worker. Yeah. And Tom Cruise wants to win the approval of Doug, so he accepts the bet that he wouldn't be able to like get off with a rich woman at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And he proves Doug wrong, and he does it, but at the expense of blowing things with Elizabeth Shue, who's like, why is this guy now going off with whatever? And then we sort of quickly transition back to New York.
Well, that's Kokomo done. That's my biggest surprise is how little we were in Jamaica and how little anything happened there as well. Like,
yeah, I thought that was going to be the climax. My predictions for this film was going to be like a Karate Kid style bartending tournament in Kokomo,
which would have been amazing. And it's convenient that every character we've met in Kokomo will live in New York as well. And so back we go.
Places can be a bit like that, Phil, aren't they? It's like I don't know, like all the rich socialites who go to the same place.
There was a lot of white people in Jamaica, conveniently. Yeah, okay. So I mean, that's them back. We're
so
done.
He's back, and then he kind of like intentionally blows things. Well, he absolutely intentionally blows things up with Rich Fling, because he wants her to get him a job, and she doesn't do that well enough or fast enough, and so he just kind of like causes a scene and punches the guy at an art gallery. Things blow up. He then tries to get back with Elizabeth Shue, who reveals that she is pregnant, and that she's rich. She's the richest person we've met so far.
She is, yeah. And this is another
Park Avenue rich.
Time strangeness, because she's not showing her pregnancy, and
well, it was like 2 days ago that this child was conceived.
Well, then why was Tom so impatient with the heiress? They give it some, because she bought him a suit last week. There's little time things, and it's like you're living in the apartment with her, you're going to galleries with her, you're getting shown to investors, and I'm like, well, I don't think it's Tom's. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay, maybe we can pick up these strands in Cocktail Flanagan. And so then he's kind of trying to win her back, and then he goes to get a job with his old flame Doug, and Doug, things aren't going well for Doug.
Well, they are at first on the surface. He's running a massive success. There's all these socialites and rich investors.
Living the dream.
He's got his own
outwardly.
boat. Caddy's dream as well. It's the name of his missus, mistress, heiress, whatever. She's model. I don't know. Don't know what she is. I don't know what she does. But he's on the surface. He's living the dream. But once they hunker down in the boat, the truth comes out.
Because Tom, the bet was, they made another bet, wasn't it? That that's the funny thing, is Elizabeth Shue is mad at Tom because she's like, well, I thought we had something like special. Like, why did you sleep with like an older woman? And he's like, listen, you don't understand. It's Doug. Doug dared me to do it.
When a dude when a guy makes you a dare, you've got to do it.
Yeah, you don't understand. It's like a
women just don't understand it, Tom.
I think we're even making it sound more normal than it. Like,
it's weird.
He when he's telling it to her, he describes it in a way that makes him sound insane.
Yeah,
he'd be like, I would have security remove this man immediately.
100%. When he tells the truth of why he cheated on her, and even if they just had a day or two fling again, I do not know how long they were together in Kokomo. But his excuses and you owe me a second, I deserve.
He bet me I couldn't get a ritual.
It's very strange, and it's manic as well from Tom.
Yeah, it's good cruise energy, jumping on couch. And so, but Doug had made him another bet, which was, you'll be coming to me for a job.
Yes.
And so he does, tail between his legs. He buys the 500 bottle of whiskey, is it?
Yeah, brandy.
Brandy, that's it. And then he goes off to hand that over to Doug and to ask for a job. And then they go off. They're like, hey, why don't we ditch this crowd, find somewhere where we can speak in private?
It's because of the implication, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Can't say no on a boat.
He takes him off to the boat. Yeah. And so they have their little heart-to-heart. And that's when Doug reveals that like all the glitters is not gold, and the whole
he's hemorrhaging money.
Yeah,
doesn't know what insurance was or linen or anything was. And he's just lost all his money.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a sinking ship.
And then he leaves him, and Doug's wife tries to get off with Tom, and Tom is like, no, this is disrespectful. Yeah, Doug deserves better. How dare you? And then he goes back to the boat where, dun dun dun, I called it. Like, he takes a Polaroid of Doug before he leaves. And they linger on that Polaroid in a candle in the wind. Like, Doug's gonna, like, this fleeting moment, Doug is...
I had predicted a Dennis Wilson overboard drinking, you know, like, he's not going to be on the boat, and Doug calling out into the sea and things. But,
yeah, if Doug was just, like, drunk and sort of died accidentally.
But that's not what we got.
No, he kills himself with the bottle of brandy.
He does.
In a, like... they only flash it up, so it's hard to tell what he did because he's covered in blood.
He is absolutely,
like, he's just lying in like so all graphic. Of his blood, and like this bottle's completely smashed.
So I assumed he'd slit his throat with it.
I mean, that would be the way to do it.
But I mean, it's just an absolute massacre.
It did not look like a pleasant death at all.
No.
And Tom Cruise like freaks out, as you would when you see the love of your life like just gutted like a fish. And I laughed. It's kind of cheesy at first, but then I was like, I don't know, maybe this is the way that like I really like in Inception when Marion Cotillard jumps off and Leonardo DiCaprio has like a weird literal like, oh my Jesus, he has like such a good like I don't really like it's.
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I laughed because it's in Cocktail.
Yeah.
You know, 10 minutes ago we were in Kokomo. And so it's that juxtaposition between what the film is and this one scene. But I really enjoyed it. I actually really liked it.
Yeah, he has a really raw
really good little performance out of him.
And so, as we predicted, Doug's death was what Tom Cruise needed to get back on the straight path and to get his life all sorted out. And so he woos Elizabeth Shue back, and then that's basically it.
Basically, they open up a cocktail bar.
He opens up his bar, and she announces, and he does a little another spoken word like, "If a son he be, then all your drinks will be free."
My love by the sea.
Whereas, if a girl she give birth to, your bill will be due. And then she's like, oh, it's twins. And then it's kind of like a do end, pretty much.
Yeah, just roll credits. It's very abrupt ending, but what else, you know? So that's it, though.
Thus concludes Kokomo.
Kokomo, wonderful.
And we've gone way over because, like, I don't know, as you can probably tell, we had a pretty good time with this film.
I had as much fun as Tom Cruise was having in this film, which is just, he is having a blast. He's so much manic energy, and I can just, it helped. It was a very, very fun film.
Yeah.
I'll never watch it again, but I can't make this one better. I couldn't make it more enjoyable.
We've kind of blown the game here with this. Definitely isn't Razzie worthy.
No, not at all.
So the things it beat out: Rambo 3.
Oh, don't get me started. But I'm glad that Rambo 3 is still a better film to me than Cocktail. So yeah,
Mac and Me.
Mac and Me is worse than Cocktail.
Hot to Trot.
Not seen.
So yeah, this is a big Kyle year for the Razzies. Yeah. The only other contribution I have to make is Hot to Trot, which I just watched, and it's a film in which a talking horse helps Bobcat Goldthwait do insider trading. And do not be fooled. It is nowhere near as good as that synopsis suggests. And yeah, it's a way worse winner than Cocktail. Caddyshack 2.
Caddyshack 2 is probably a worse film. It is a worse film than Cocktail, 100%. I get some strange enjoyment out of Cocktail 2. Caddyshack 2. I also, without going on too much about Caddyshack 2, Chevy Chase's cameo minor appearance in it, where he does Harrison Ford in your pajamas. I'm not going to play the character. I'm just going to be myself for one scene and that's it. But objectively, Caddyshack 2, if you don't have any of that perverse enjoyment like I do, is a much, much, much more Razzie winner, in my opinion.
Okay, so this then leads into our... this film doesn't really need to be fixed in the same way that Indecent Proposal didn't need to be fixed.
No.
So just as we did our modern reboot for that. In this one, we're going to be pitching our cocktail Maverick. So for me, the twins die.
Okay.
The twins die. Like we write them out.
Retcon them or they're dead?
No, they're dead.
Okay.
They're dead, but they're not, like, you don't linger on it in the way, like, it's not really haunted by grief. Like, his grief is Doug's death, not his twins. He maybe says that in, like, it opens with him in therapy, in an AA meeting.
Okay.
He's like, hi, I'm Brian, and I'm an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I lost my soulmate. He killed himself, and I just wonder what could I. And then he's like, oh, by the way, like, my twins died.
I know, so yeah.
So they're gone. Elizabeth Shue probably left him because, like, he, like, maybe he's on like he has a death wish ever since, and he's constantly making bets with himself, like, I bet I can't, like, jump over that gorge, or, like, I bet I can't make a drinkable cocktail with bleach. Or,
I quite like that, you know, she, in my head there, she's left him. If we're going with your vision, he is an alcoholic and he is a gambler probably from all the bets.
Yeah.
But he's still a bartender.
He is a bartender,
and
that's his soul.
And seeing the world partying and enjoying himself and having fun, and he can't anymore because Doug's dead and his light's gone, so he's just serving these people now, and it's all a show for him. He's a clown now.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so this is when Miles Teller enters the picture, and he has the mustache still. He's the same Miles Teller that he is in Top Gun, and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for work. I understand that you knew my dad." And he's like, "Yeah, sure. What's your name?" And he's like, "Yeah, my name's Brian Coughlin."
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that Doug's wife was pregnant when Doug died.
Yeah.
And
they could have had a kid in that 3 years, though. They might have had a kid back in New York, you know, after their initial breakup. So I can believe that.
And so, like, he teaches just as Obi-Wan. It's like poetry, it rhymes. Just as Obi-Wan Kenobi trained, just as Doug was Tom's Obi-Wan Kenobi, Tom becomes the Obi-Wan Kenobi to Miles Teller. You get the scenes where they're, like, dancing behind bar, and, like, they're just loving it.
Yeah.
And we get, like, Lady Gaga to collaborate with Mike Love and, like, write 100%. A new song for the soundtrack. That's my sequel.
I won't go.
So
I can't.
What's yours?
I don't want to go too far away from that. I mean, the Miles Teller thing. I wasn't going to kill off the twins.
No, you were going to involve the twins.
I was going to have the twins. One twin in my head, a male and a female, probably. Like, we're going to mix it up a bit. One's in business. One's successful on Wall Street. The other's a down and out bartender.
I like that.
You know, we're gonna have not a prince and a pauper, but yeah, they're gonna have to. Then I don't know if Tom Cruise is in my Maverick sequel for some reason, but yeah, like Elizabeth Shue's dead or something, so it brings them together. And I would probably now weave that into Tom Cruise being down on his luck or an alcoholic or a gambler, and he hasn't shaked a cocktail shaker in 30 years, and family thing. I would probably pull it in much similar though. Miles Teller could play one of the twins as well, and
well, he plays both of them, like Jack and Jill.
Then take my money. So I definitely have it. I probably wouldn't only have anything to do with Doug. I would, other than maybe a picture framed on the wall or something, or a Force Ghost.
That's where you've lost
I'm
me.
happy with a Force Ghost. Like Tom has to, hear his voice in his head. Like Coughlin's Law or something.
Yeah.
Like he's got to get it back together to help his kids learn the meaning of.
Bartending was never about this, Tom. It was about what's inside. That's it.
Yeah.
Bartending was never about what was inside the glass, Tom, but what was inside you.
But I would also keep it much more in Kokomo, or in Jamaica rather.
Yeah.
I'd go for much more of a Caribbean kind of theme and play it up that, because that's probably my biggest problem. If I'm fixing the film, I'm keeping it in Kokomo longer. Having the initial plot happen more in Kokomo, like their fallout has to happen in Kokomo for me and things like that. So like keeping it in Jamaica or Kokomo, whatever. Keeping it in the sun is something I would be pushing for pretty hard.
Hang on, I've just realized maybe we don't call it Cocktail Flanagan because Flanagan isn't as iconic as Maverick. What if we call it Cocktail Kokomo?
Just Kokomo. Like it's just perfect. And we've called this film Kokomo 40 times already. So I've called Jamaica Kokomo 40 times.
I love how Kokomo doesn't even exist. Fantastic. Okay, coming up in the second half, we will be discussing the rest of the nominations and winners in the other categories at the 1988 Razzies. So join us for that. We'll get there fast, and then we'll take it slow.
That's where... Yeah, see you soon.
Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you to part 2 of watching Worst. So...
I'm heartbroken we can't use this every single episode.
Maybe this just becomes a Kokomo fan podcast after this. We find our true calling. So, Worst Actor. Burt Reynolds in Rent-A-Cop and Switching Channels.
I have not seen either of these.
Neither have I.
So, pass.
Jackie Mason in Caddyshack 2.
It's awful. It's just Jackie Mason as well. Like, there's no character, there's no... So, yeah,
I only know Jackie Mason from The Simpsons.
You know most of these from The Simpsons. So yeah, it's a worthy nomination.
Bobcat Goldthwait in Hot to Trot. Okay, I like Bobcat Goldthwait.
Okay.
Bobcat Goldthwait, I don't know, he just pushes my buttons for like his shtick. Although it's very Sandler-esque and it should be something that should annoy me, I like it. Like Bobcat Goldthwait can just crack me up with like the funny voice.
Yeah, okay, not fair.
But I will agree. It doesn't really work in this.
Yeah,
and he's kind of like phoning it in. Like you can see.
I mean, you're not going to give your finest performance in Hot to Trot, like.
I read that apparently his agent gave him the script, and he was like, "Why would I do this?" And they made the international money sign. Tom Cruise in Cocktail as Brian Flanagan. Okay, no world does Tom Cruise deserve a nomination.
No, not at all.
Like, it's not a stretch of his abilities. He's just kind of doing the charismatic.
It's one of the more Tom Cruise performances as well. Like, I don't think he's acting much in some of it, especially in the actual bartending scenes. It genuinely looks like he's having fun and he's showing off what he's learned. But
for sure,
but that's fun and it fits the film. And like
the film doesn't work if you had someone like less charismatic. If you had Bill Murray,
I mean, okay.
We need someone light and frothy. We need a nice fruity cocktail, like Tom Cruise. And so this is my thinking. We've read some of Mr. Razzie's book, which we now have, and so the entry for Cocktail, they really lay into Tom Cruise, but they also say, like, this was the year that Rain Man won Best Picture. And so I think that's why this won, is they just like the narrative of...
It's horrible, though. It's wrong. But he's the best and he's the worst. It's a recurrent thing we're going to see more of, but like, yeah, absolutely not.
If Rain Man doesn't come out, Cocktail probably doesn't win, and Tom Cruise maybe isn't even nominated.
Exactly.
And the winner, Sylvester Stallone in Rambo 3.
Not at all. Not in the slightest. And I'm not going to stand up here and defend Rambo 3 to the death because it is one of the weakest Rambos. Yeah. But Stallone, again, he's not doing anything he hasn't done in Rambo 2, which we're going to watch one day. So maybe you'll disagree with me then. It's not great, but it's not worse than Jackie Mason and Caddyshack 2.
A man speaking on something which he knows nothing about. My assumption is just that Sylvester Stallone can only be so bad playing Rambo because he basically is Rambo. Well, it's just like turning up and doing the same performance.
This is a slight thing. Like in First Blood, he does act. He does. Yeah. John Rambo is
for sure. He's good in the first one, and he's traumatized.
The second film
becomes an action man.
Is the transition to action man, and the third one's full action man. Yeah. But just like Schwarzenegger and Commando and stuff like that.
You dare.
You can't dunk on it because that's what it suits the film. Like I don't want serious grizzled John Rambo in Rambo 3 because that's not the film, and he's still not that bad. I don't. No, it's not. It's not. No.
Okay.
Jackie Mason gets that for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm sure Bobcat himself would agree that if he got it, then he at least got a big chunk of change in exchange for it. Worst actress, Vanity in Action Jackson.
Which I have seen, but I haven't seen it in over a decade, so I'm not gonna have any comment there.
Cassandra Peterson in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Didn't even know there was an Elvira movie, so no comment.
Yeah, no, that was a big thing. Whoopi Goldberg in The Telephone,
which I did not hear about until we looked at this list.
Yeah, so here we go. The Telephone seems like such a Kyle movie on paper because it was co-written by Harry Nilsson,
Yep.
and it was directed by Rip Torn.
His only directorial debut and last as well. So yeah, like, and it's 78 minutes long, and there's 5 people in the cast, and it's all in one room. Like, I'm gonna watch this film. I'll have a little addendum in the next episode if I tell you what my thoughts on The Telephone were.
And Elliot Gould was in it, and Elliot Gould was originally meant to be the horse in Hot to Trot, the talking horse, before he was replaced with. I think it was actually that I think he did record. I think he was recast.
Is this like Chris Farley and Shrek kind of thing?
Yeah, I think Elliot Gould was taped over, which is a shame because Hot to Trot is terrible. The horse, the talking horse, it's not even like it doesn't look. It's not up to like Muffin the Mule or like any, like, I don't know, like it's bad by the standards of talking horses visually. Yeah, it's not good, but I could see Elliot Gould bringing a sort of sardonic proto BoJack Horseman
thing to it.
Whereas John Candy, he's just, I don't know, he's just John Candy.
That's fair. That was very fair.
Rebecca De Mornay and God Created Woman.
Not seen.
Okay, and then we have Liza Minnelli in Arthur 2 on the Rocks and Rent-A-Cop.
So I know of Arthur 2, especially when I was obsessed with really bad sequels, but I've not seen it, so I have no comment for either of these.
Liza Minnelli's a weird one where she's amazing in Arrested Development and obviously Cabaret.
I love her in Cabaret, yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the leads in Arthur, the good one. So,
she's in Arthur as well, the first one.
Yeah, she's the female lead. Yeah. She's the one that which I don't know. This is one of my most controversial opinions. I have a soft spot for Arthur the remake.
Okay, well,
and it's Greta Gerwig in the remake.
Okay,
and so it's one of Greta Gerwig's worst performances because you can see she just has utter contempt for the movie.
Yeah,
but I think she might be better than Liza Minnelli.
Oh, controversial.
Worst supporting actor: Christopher Reeve in Switching Channels.
Never seen.
Harvey Keitel in The Last Temptation of Christ.
What's your thoughts here?
I can't remember Last Temptation of Christ well enough to have a super informed view. My mutual friends of ours, the twins, they absolutely hate Harvey Keitel.
Okay, I love
think he's
Harvey.
Terrible.
Okay.
And I can kind of see what they mean. Like, Harvey Keitel sometimes seems like he's horrendously miscast.
Yes.
And I think that might be a little bit in Last Temptation of Christ. He's just too modern.
Yes. And I can understand the criticisms. I love both Harvey Keitel and Last Temptation of Christ, so I'm probably a little bit biased. Mm-hmm. Miscast, strange casting in general, but he's not a Razzie nominated supporting actor for me. Not for me.
There was a funny tweet about this just the other day I saw, which is like, you know how people like criticize Ben Affleck in Last Duel because they're like, certain actors don't work in period films because they're like, that man knows what a cell phone is.
Yeah.
They're like, they were like, oh, Harvey Keitel knows what lasagna is, or he was born after the invention of lasagna. He's just too Italian and modern.
And I get it, but like, my biasnesses are probably going to keep it away from this nomination.
Yeah, fair enough. Richard Crenna in Rambo 3.
Which is a big no. Richard Crenna, so if we're going into like the Rambo, and again we'll even talk about this in Rambo Part 2, Richard Crenna gives serious performance in First Blood as a commanding officer, and in the third film he's firing machine guns with Rambo side by side, and I mean, I love it.
I'm really not.
You don't see this one, you see number 2.
Yeah, I know, but
so you're all right.
I thought that I didn't know that there was any connectivity. So I was prepared for watching Rambo 2 with just like, this is the completely separate thing that just so happens to share the same name.
That's wonderful.
But if there's crossover of like other characters,
Richard Crenna's in the first 3. I think it was maybe in the 4th one, but sadly passes away. He is the only connection between the films though. Okay. And he, just like the films, having like a nice progression into the campy madness that they become, and the pure from thriller to action film. He, along with the film, progresses much more than Stallone. So, but no, I really enjoy Krenna in Rambo 3, and I like how much fun he's having because he's playing something completely different. He gets to shed the stuffiness and fire some guns. Yeah, no. Not a nomination for me.
Billy Barty in Willow.
It's your boy Billy Barty, isn't it? Did you not rip on him in a previous episode?
I have no idea who Billy Barty is.
Do you know?
Oh, of course. Billy Barty is in Under the Rainbow. Yeah, no, Billy Barty plays the Nazi in Under the Rainbow. Yeah, okay.
You're a boy.
Yeah, I have a vendetta against Billy Barty.
You've never seen Willow, though, have you?
I've seen maybe like glimpses of it when my mum was watching it on TV and I was a kid, and she was like, "Oh, you'll love this. It's like a fantasy." I watched like 2 minutes. I was like, "This is rubbish," and then just left.
I mean, that's it. I have seen Willow. My memory. This is probably being a dumb kid watching it with Dark Crystal. I'm gonna refrain from having restrain again. I keep saying it. From having an opinion here because I also like those shitty Ewok Star Wars movies when I was a kid. So
well, I did as well.
Yeah, so like I can't remember Willow enough to tell you about Billy Barty's great performance in it.
The winner, on the other hand, a man who you are well qualified to judge, Dan Aykroyd in Caddyshack 2.
And yeah, like, I mean, considering the rest of the nominations, I can understand. Right, so Dan Aykroyd is a replacement for Bill Murray from Caddyshack 1. Bill Murray is not coming back for the sequel, and he's off doing Scrooged this time. Hence why he's
with Bobcat.
With Bobcat. So Bobcat can do too hot to trot and Scrooged, but he can't. You know, Bill Murray can't do Cocktail and Scrooged.
Do you imagine Bobcat Goldthwait in Cocktail? Okay, we're gonna.
And this is a turning point for Dan Aykroyd for me. Like late 80s, where he is just turned up to 11. He's like almost a caricature of Dan Aykroyd. Like the worst qualities what you might not like about him in like Ghostbusters and Blues Brothers. Anything you think, oh, this is what leads on the road to nothing but trouble. This is a very bad performance, and it is also like a poor imitation of Bill Murray as well, being in the same role and things. And I can completely he's not funny. So yeah, I can understand. Maybe not winner, but I can understand it.
Worst supporting actress: Zelda Rubinstein in Poltergeist 3.
Which I don't think I've seen. I think Poltergeist 2 is the last one I've seen.
Mariel Hemingway in Sunset.
Which I've never heard of.
Daryl Hannah in High Spirits.
Which I've not seen.
Eileen Brennan in The New Adventures of Pippi Longstocking.
No.
And the winner, Christy McNichol in Two Moon Junction.
Yeah, so a complete, I've not seen.
We're awash for that one. I think that's the first time neither of us have seen any of the nominees. Worst director, Peter McDonald for Rambo 3.
Nope.
Roger Donaldson for Cocktail. No. Michael Dinner for Hot to Trot. Yes.
Okay.
Stuart Raphael for Mac and Me.
Yes.
He was the tied winner with Blake Edwards for Sunset.
Yeah, so I can't say unless Hot to Trot is much worse directed than Mac and Me, I can understand Mr. Stuart Raphael, or whatever he's called, winning for Mac and Me.
I haven't seen the thing with Hot to Trot was it just seemed like no one was caring.
Yeah. No one cares about Mac and Me though. There's probably a lot of similarities as well.
Yeah.
It is a McDonald's cash-in. It's ET but with McDonald's. It's not. Like, you're not going to give your best directorial abilities, are you?
It seems to me like Mac and Me has more stuff thrown at the wall than Hot to Trot does.
Yes,
so.
well, but it doesn't have a talking horse. I don't know. It doesn't have Gilbert,
Yeah, Gilbert Gottfried, and like Gilbert Gottfried, who's in the trailer for Hot to Trot, but he's only in the last 30 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
Worst screenplay: Willow. Screenplay by Bob Dolman, story by George Lucas, our boy.
His first nomination for Lucas that's come up for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be, unless he was nominated. Like, he's not. Everything.
I mean, Howard the Duck will be coming up eventually.
True. Yeah.
But right now, anyway, I from what I remember, Willow is probably not the worst screenplay, so I'm going to say no.
Rambo 3, written by Sylvester Stallone. Really? You're defending the screenplay?
I mean, is it... Yes, I am. Yes, I am, actually. it's dedicated to the brave Mahdi fighters of Afghanistan. You know, those freedom fighters that will never do anything bad. No, like Rambo 3 it's one of my. I enjoy Rambo 3 more than Rambo Part 2 because it is turned up higher. It is more insane. It's stupider. And I can turn my brain off, and it's my. I know you're gonna hate me for it, but it's more closer to like Commando for me. Of just
that's just I don't know. It just
Commando
says
without the bomb.
it's the Tywin Lannister of like the Lion does not concern himself with the opinions of the lambs. It just says everything that like you're constantly being like, oh, Rambo is like a poor man's Commando, but like I would never dream of saying like, oh, it's like Arnie.
I didn't say it was a poor man. I didn't say it was a poor man's.
It says it all. Arnie's the standard to which all other meatheads aspire to.
Stallone isn't doing Twins. Stallone isn't doing Junior.
Because he couldn't. He doesn't have the chops. Moving on. Mac and Me, written by Stuart Rathville and Steve Feek.
I'm going to go with. Yeah, 100%. You do not put in any effort into your E.T. ripoff McDonald's produced film.
Hot to Trot, screenplay by Stephen Naher. Is that a pun? Is this a pseudonym? Is this like the Alan Smithy of horse-related films? Naher.
It's not a pseudonym. It was written by a horse.
Oh, that would be amazing. We need to write that film. Delete this. And Hugo Gilbert and Charlie Peters, 3 writers. Story by Nair and Gilbert. And it seems like a Gilbert and Sullivan joke from BoJack Horseman. And then the winner, of course, Cocktail, screenplay by Haywood Gold, based on his book. Of all the nominations and wins, this one's probably the most deserved because it is appallingly structured.
It is.
Like there's no real through line, and like we said, once he goes to Kokomo, it just falls off
apart.
A cliff.
Yeah, and then if it wasn't for the performances and energy and soundtrack and everything else,
the charisma
and the
two,
chemistry,
then
100%. I feel like this was redone though with Tom Cruise. I stand by that. So maybe he doesn't deserve as much flack. You know, getting his book and his screenplays.
Well, we have Haywood Gold here. We can maybe see. Oh, there isn't a picture of him.
Oh,
he wrote the screenplay for Boys from Brazil. Wow.
Well, yeah, but I can understand at very least a nomination. I don't think it's worse than Mac and Me screenplay.
Probably not.
But yeah, it's pretty bad.
Worst new star. So this is a category that we like to harp on because frequently it's like Mr. Razzie like kicking a child in the face. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Hey, if anyone's going to take a kick in the face, Van Damme will probably weather it better than a child. But JCVD and Bloodsport.
And I love Bloodsport. Have you seen Bloodsport?
No.
Okay, well, Bloodsport's probably my favorite Van Damme film. It's all downhill from here, really, until JCVD.
The bookends.
So, I love Bloodsport. I can understand why you'd be dunking on him but it's also racist to me because, you know, he can barely speak English.
Is it going to be like Hercules in New York? Yeah. Like, ha ha ha, look at this foreigner who's like...
I still don't think he's that bad in it either. Like, for a Van Damme performance, like Bloodsport's a lot of passion in it and stuff. So no, that's not me.
And it's one of those things where like he's not really hired for his acting ability. He's hired for his physical prowess.
You watch a martial arts film and you go, oh no, the acting's he's the worst new star. That's bullshit in my opinion.
Yeah, like
I don't watch Bloodsport for an Oscar-worthy performance from a Belgian musclehead. Like
with truly bad performances, it's almost like, oh, anyone could do a better job than this. Mm-hmm. Whereas I would defy you to find someone who could do Van Damme better than, like, unless you're doing unless you're doing like Total Recall or something where like Van Damme's a scientist and it's like okay, but if he's like an action man, then it's like, well, yeah, Bobcat Goldthwait isn't going to be better as the lead in Bloodsport.
No, Tom Cruise can't do this. Tom Cruise can't do Bloodsport.
I bet he could. Robbie Rosa in Salsa as Rico. I'm guessing this is a child. Looking at how old he is now, he's a Puerto Rican singer. Yeah, I reckon he was probably maybe a teen when he did.
But yeah, like, could be wrong. I don't even know what salsa is, but I can understand that.
Tammy Erin in The New Adventures of Pippi Longstocking as Pippi Longstocking.
That's
she's a child. Dawn, the talking horse in Hot to Trot. Okay, leave the horse out of it.
The horse didn't talk in the film either.
Yeah, no. The horse did a perfectly good job. The director just couldn't work with him. Ronald McDonald as himself in Mac and Me.
Yeah, I mean, this is just for the the meme, the joke of lol, it's Ronald McDonald that's getting nominated. Yeah. They didn't dunk on the kid from Mac and Me though, so that's surprising. So
Is the kid me?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, I just want to check. I don't know anything about Mac and Me.
Get Mac and Me on the go.
I got Mac and Me confused with Mark and Mindy for a long
What?
time. So I saw this and I was like, oh yeah, Mac and Me, the Robin Williams.
The spin-off from Happy Days.
Vehicle.
Have you seen Mark and Mindy?
No.
Okay, well.
That's why.
Have you seen Happy Days?
No.
Oh, all comes back.
Okay, so our final category here, it's the return of our favourite.
I love it.
Worst original song, Therapist from A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, written and performed by Vigil. And so this is the best one.
We listened to all three of the nominations, and by far, this is the best one. It's a song.
Yeah, it's really sort of creepy and ethereal, everything you'd want from Nightmare on Elm Street.
But cheesy, just like you'd want from Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Yeah, like the chorus I wasn't wild about because it gets a little bit, but like I was actually enjoying that song.
Yeah, it fits. And I wouldn't listen to it again, but no, it's very fitting. Yeah. And I don't think it's a nomination, to be honest.
Yeah. Skin Tight from Johnny B. Good, written and performed by Ted Nugent.
Yeah. This is the blandest, most mediocre, just hair rock metal.
Yeah, it seemed like Bargain Bucket, like You Could Be Mine, or like Guns N' Roses, but yeah, it's an unremarkable like hair rock.
Nothing compared to the winner though.
Which Jack Fresh from Caddyshack 2, written and performed by Full Force.
Which is fucking abomination.
It's almost unlistenable.
It really was. You went from don't skip it, I want to hear it, just I'm a minute in.
It wasn't I want to hear it. It was just like I need to get a full flavor because you're skipping around. I'm like, this is just chaos, and I want to know if you're chopping this up or if this song is really just disjointed.
I only jumped twice. It is disjointed. It is awful, and I can't even remember it in Caddyshack 2. So I blocked it from my brain.
Okay, so that concludes this episode, and we are making our way through Razzie history.
We are. And it's been a much more fun episode today compared to Hunter.
Yeah, rejuvenating.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Impother.
So a lot of fun, yeah. So what do we have up next?
Next week, we're going to be bringing ourselves back down to earth with the 2015 Razzies and our first double bill.
Our first time in the 10s as well.
Yeah, joint winners, Fantastic Four and 50 Shades of Grey.
Dreading it?
I want to get it over and done with just because it's like 5 hours, 4 hours of not great films to watch. But I've seen both of them before, and I don't like. If they were on their own, there are certainly winners I hate more.
Yeah,
like Transformers. Nothing's gonna come close to how much I hate Transformers.
It'll be hard to beat. Yeah,
we'll see. I think it's gonna be a very tiring viewing session, but who knows? Maybe it'll be like the best complementary double bill. Maybe they'll balance each other out.
I've seen Fantastic Four before. I've never seen 50 Shades of Grey, so something's going to be new to me at least. But I did say this about Transformers, and I instantly regret it. But it's good. This is the double bill I've been probably dreading the most, so I'm happy to get it out of the way, which is just great enthusiasm, isn't it? Get it done with. It's our punishment for enjoying Cocktail, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to get in touch with us, if you want to pitch your takes for the Cocktail sequel, then you can email us at watchingworstfilms@gmail.com. You can get us at watchingworst on Twitter. If you enjoyed the show, even if you didn't, please leave us reviews on iTunes and any other podcasting platform that you may use, as it will help get the word out there.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Aruba, Jamaica.